Hi everybody, welcome back to another Creating Kindness Design Team video on Blog Hop. I'm Lou Kitzelman from With a Bow on Top by Lou, and you can find the information about how to get to my blog listed below this video. The theme for our blog hop and video hop for July is all about mixed media. So I've tried to do a technique called faux ceramic. It's a technique that I saw quite a few years ago on a blog called Mel Stamps with a Z at the end, and I'll put the full address and the link for you in my blog so that you can have a look. And she developed this great technique where you end up with a faux ceramic look. Now this didn't turn out as well as what my samples did years ago, but mainly because I didn't have quite the right products. So the way that I've done it before is, instead of using white acrylic paint like I had to today, I've used gesso, which is seemed to work a bit better for me. So I think when I do it again, once I get back into things, I can try that. So I should say that I've been away overseas for 6 weeks, so I'm not long back. I've got a bit of jet lag, I've got a bit of a cold, as you can hear, but as I started to prepare this for the blog hop, I realized that it was much better for you to see the technique being done rather than just reading about it. So bear with me. Hopefully I'll be able to get through this without a huge big coughing fit, but we'll see how we go. So these are the 2 cards that I ended up making. Maybe they didn't end up looking quite like I had hoped, but I've learned a few things along the way, and next time they'll be I'll know what not to do. So when I started thinking about how to go about this technique, I thought that this lovely floral embossing folder would be perfect for the technique, because it gives a really nice raised embossed piece, which is perfect for this technique. But because there's lots of indents, I didn't seem to get as clear a coloured image as what I thought I would. But nonetheless, I've ended up with quite a fun card, quite a nice card anyway. And sometimes that's what happens when you're experimenting with a technique, particularly with mixed media. It's all about the fun that you have and getting lost in it, and then you can develop the skills, and the next time you'll know what not to do. Something like this layered leaves embossing folder is a bit better for this technique because there's more flat surfaces, and you'll sort of see why when I come to do that. So let's get into it and I'll show you how I went about doing it. So you start with a piece of Whisper White, just normal Whisper White embossed, and then you colour the raised images with Stampin' Blends. I'm just going to do a few leaves just to show you what to do. Now the idea is to try and colour in the raised part and try not to get anything in the indent, but I did, mainly because I was having a coughing fit. But when you come to do the next stage, you'll see that it's not that big a deal. So I'm using Old Olive Light and Old Olive Dark, and I'm just adding a little bit of shading. Try not to add too much colour because this is raised, it's a bit like a hill, and so on the sides the colour wants to get away. So I'll just do another one just to show you. So I'm just going around the outside. Hopefully you can see that. While I'm colouring this, I also must just say thank you to everyone who's subscribed. I didn't think I'd get 1 subscriber, so to get over 10 was really exciting. So hopefully I'll get more and more as I go along. As you can tell, my videos are quite low tech, so I appreciate you tuning in and having a look at what I've got to show you. So there we go. So you would just colour the whole section in. And when if you were doing this one, you can just do different colours, and I've also coloured in the indents as well. And then once you have coloured, finish them, the next stage is to add the gesso or the white paint. So when I went to use my white paint today, it's just about it's really quite thick. It's on its last legs. So what I've done is just added some water to it, but if you can get some gesso, I think that would be better. And then instead of the first samples that I did, I used a hard card to scrape the paint on, but what it did was press the indents down too much. So you want to use not very much pressure. So all you do is, so I don't know if you can see, it's slightly drippy. That's about the consistency that you want. I've just got some scrap card here. This is thick Whisper White, and then hopefully my arms won't get in the way. You're just going to, ready for the technical part, smear it on. And the good thing about using the scrap of card is that you've got the flexibility to move it without it being so hard that you're pushing the ridges down. And then the idea is that you want to scrape off as much as you can from the raised part, but leave it in the indents. And if you work it a bit more, as it starts to dry, you'll get a bit of texture in there, which is really great for this one. I think this one might be my best one yet. There we go. Amazing what a coffee does, doesn't it? And I must just say, you might have seen before that I'm working on the packaging that the Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up! Comes in. It's really good for movable workboards. And then once they get really mucky, after a while you can throw them out. Okay, so you let that dry. I should say that once you've coloured your leaves, and you need to let that dry as well, or hit it with the heat gun just so that the colour doesn't run. So I'll move that out of the way. Once you've done that, you get some just medium grade sandpaper, and you sand off very carefully the top layer. The aim is to try and get the gesso or the white acrylic paint off those raised bits that you've coloured. So you just sand, and obviously I'm doing virtual sanding because I've used up all my samples as I've been having a bit of a shocker today. So give it a bit of a sand, and then you get a cloth, clean it all off so that there's no dust on there. Get your Versamark pad, and you're just going to very carefully run it across the top. And the idea is that you're trying to get it on the raised parts and not the indents. And I had quite a bit of trouble with that. I'm not quite sure why. And I also use an old Versamark pad. I keep my old ones for things like this, so that, and you can see that it's a bit grungy, so that if there happened to be dust on there, or if the colour wasn't quite dry from the Stampin' Blends, then if it goes on that ink pad, it's not that big a deal. So pop your clear Versamark over there, sprinkle clear embossing powder on, hit it with your heat gun, and then you get this faux ceramic sort of look, and you can see the shine on there, and you can see where I've actually accidentally popped the Versamark on there. But as a background piece, I think that would be really lovely. I haven't made that into a card yet, obviously, because I'm holding it, but I will do, but maybe not for the blog post. And then it's just as simple as putting your card together. Oh, sorry, we've missed out a step. Let's just finish it. That would be a good idea. The last thing that you need to do is a wash on there. Now you could leave it like that, but I like to do a crumb cake wash, and I'm just using my crumb cake re-inker, and I like my aqua painter with the big brush end. I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of water, and then I'm just picking up some of the colour, and then because you have embossed this, you can literally just go all the way over. Just going to add a bit darker, and then where there's no embossing powder, which technically should be in all the indents, but you can see clearly on mine it's not, the colour will stick. So just like that, and as it soaks in, if you haven't covered some with paint, it will be darker. And then you just need a cloth just to soak that off, and then as it dries, you'll see how beautiful it is. Now I'm just clearly not thinking today. I meant to do half to show you, but if you can think back, or maybe you could rewind the video and just have a look at the before and after. But you can see that it's clearly darker, and it's really helped bring out the colour of the leaves there. So I'll endeavour to make that into something, and you'll be able to see it on my blog. And let's just have another look at the samples. So this is, I've coloured this all in with Night of Navy Light and Dark Stampin' Blends, and I think I've sort of added a bit too much paint, but still I think it's quite sweet. It's a bit hard for you to see there. Hopefully, oh, there you go. So it's a bit faux ceramic-y, bit mixed media, but that's one of those things about crafting, isn't it? What you start off to do might not be what you end up doing. Now this one, if you squint, it actually looks quite nice, but I'm not quite sure if I'm loving it. But I had a bit of fun getting back into my crafting table. So make sure you follow along on this video hop. There's a list of everyone who's participating, and you can go from one hop to the other and see how everyone's used or tried mixed media, and also have a look at my blog for photos of this and more information, and the list of everyone participating in the blog hop. Okay guys, thanks so much for bearing with me. I'll see you next time. Please subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to get some more subscribers, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.